Hello, hello, and welcome to another episode of the Coaching Outdoors podcast. If you are a new listener, a big welcome. And if you are a returning loyal listener, welcome back as well. So today, Paul and myself are traveling all the way to China. And this is really quite a monumental episode because we have not had anybody from that part of the world yet. So we are super curious to have a conversation with Laura and discover more about her backstory and her world and her coaching practice. So, Laura, a huge welcome from myself and Paul, and for the listeners who are listening in. Please do introduce yourself briefly, and we have got lots more time to dive into the details as we move through our conversation.
So welcome. A pleasure to be here with you. I'm Paul. I would say I'm originally from Italy, North Italy, and I've been living in China for more 20 years, more or less. I'm working at corporates, all I define myself as an explorer, let's say. So I'm very curious to go on with and discover together what is the next.
Oh, Laura, that's great to have you here, and it's a real pleasure, as Anna Marie has said. Curiosity, etc. China, Italy. What a great place to start. That's already given us lots of food for thought to dive in today, and we'll get into those questions. But we're going to start with our first question, which is our famous question on Coaching Outdoor podcast. And so we're going to take you right back. So what is your earliest memory of being outdoors? And then the second part, why do you love being in nature so much?
Well, my first memory, I think, means I've been since ever, I've been in nature. As I said, where I'm living, just need to open the door. I'm in the green, in the forest. So for me, it's my childhood is spent in the nature, exploring in the woods, in the forest, many of that. And so my love for nature is really a kind of in symbiosis with who I am. There is no separation. Means if I want to see Laura as she is, you go to nature. Yeah.
Your true self emerges within nature, and ultimately we are nature. And that question is always interesting, whether people have a specific memory or actually whether it just bleeds across their entire childhood. And for you, it just seems a very integral part of your being. So your coaching journey, we're always keen to have an insight into how our guests have come to coaching and then taking it into nature with nature. So yeah, give us an insight into your coaching journey, and then maybe who supported you along the way, because we always have amazing coaches, teachers, mentors.
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. My coaching journey starts just a few months before, let's say, COVID arrived in China. And I mentioned that, sorry for that, because it was an important period for me in growing up personally, also from the coaching point of view. And when I started the training for coaching, encouraged by my mentor, mindfulness mentor here in Beijing. So I come from the mindfulness field, I would say. And when she suggested me to go into coaching, mindfulness coaching, again, my curiosity was, what is coaching about? No idea. And when I was starting the training, after the first module, I was also ready to quit the coaching training because I didn't feel it was working was too much structure, too much power of question, too much competency, too much. So I'm a free soul in somehow, and I need to find my way. And I felt there was no correlation between me and what the coaching training was asking. But encouraged again by my mentor, I carry on. Also very supported by my first few clients. I would say I learned a lot through clients in my coaching. So at the beginning was more based on mindfulness, self-compassion. That's is really my, as I am in somehow. But of course, when during the training, the mentor, the trainer ask you, well, what do you think will be your niche? And my reply was, I didn't even know what is coaching. I know really idea what is my niche, what is based about. And she said to me, your niche is who you are. So explore, be curious, listen to what you feel like to do and to be when you're coaching, and just go with that. So what's happened that after the training, the certification, I was also started to do some exploration in time of doing circle, mindfulness circle, group session indoor. That was winter time. So Beijing winter time is really hard to get outdoor. But not now. That time I thought like that. I don't think now. So I started to do this we call mindfulness circle, another training that I've been through. And I support a friend of mine in a yoga studio doing the circle. But when I was there and feeling the energy, I was saying to myself, this is not my ambience, this is not my environment. And then the idea was go outdoor. So as soon as was the nice seasons came around May, I said to my friend, I think I need to move my circle outdoor. And I moved without any preparation, without any concern also, just knowing that I knew the park where I wanted to do the circle, I knew the environment, I knew there was myself there. And I invited people coming with the risk that no one was come, but people came. And then the time is actually, that's why I mentioned COVID, that people needed to have connection, human connection. So I provide this kind of space of mindfulness, pause, silence, connection, reflection. And then the moment when I started also to say, looking around, look at the sky, look at the tree. And then I saw people that was really connected with that. And I said, oh, something's happening here. It's not just mindfulness, but there is also the nature that can be combined. And then the moment I said, how can I be a coach when I'm in nature? Because the time for me, coach was one-to-one, the client sitting down on the screen. So I started really searching by myself, and then I found there was people around the world doing that. And then when I jumped into the Nature Coaching Academy, I was laughing because I said, oh, someone else has structured already this kind of coaching. And then the Coaching Academy also is in Italy. So that's encouraged me to go on. I was then follow the webinar, follow everything. And I started introducing the practice into the coaching.
Oh, thank you very much, Laura. That's great. And I would just say as well that we share something. I nearly quit on my first day of coach training, so that we have something in common. I remember being in Henley Business School, and I put my hand up to say I think I declared to the whole class I wasn't sure I was in the right room and I probably should leave. That was my declaration. So we share that, and I think it's important that you share that with everybody, that, you know, sometimes when you start to deconstruct everything, and it does feel very awkward at first, but once it comes back together again, it does feel very good. And you bring yourself, as you've rightly said, to what that coaching journey is. And again, I loved your point that clients can help us. We learn a lot. This is a two-way street. We learn from clients, etc. So yeah, lovely journey, which is, you know, fantastic. I guess we're going to just sort of probably have to sort of dive straight in. I'm just always curious around being within nature. You've sort of touched on that in that question, but could you just explain, you know, you came up with that as that's we should explain that that's Laura's being within nature, mindfulness. Where did that come about, Laura? How did you get to that?
Yeah. As for everything, it came up because there was is a kind of development, a kind of journey, as I said, a journey. So the idea before was nature coaching, nature-based coaching, whatever. I really didn't mind about the name, but people said to me, if you're working in nature, how can you integrate this in your signature? So I started creating thinking about how can I combine mindfulness. If I have to use an image of myself, I would say I'm a tree, right? My root is based on mindfulness. My trunk is somatic because I'm also very somatic, and my branches are the nature part of my coaching. That means for branching means now on, this is my direction. So the structure. So it came with him because I'm in nature, of course. So when I get the clients in nature, when I'm sitting in the nature, I'm in nature. But it's actually, as I said, during the session, I realized that connecting with nature was getting people realize, evoke more awareness, getting people go through trauma, whatever. So I found out that there was a good combination, use the two words, split in two. Also for say that you don't necessarily need to be sitting in nature for be with nature. Or let's say the other way is not because you are sitting in nature or walking in nature that you are connected with nature. So, and again, the client taught me that when I was bringing some, let's say, Chinese client, because sooner or later we talk about that, right? Chinese client in the nature, they were walking and just passed by. And then there was no any kind of sensation, any kind of thought about that. So I was emphasized with that. I want you to be with the grass, with the tree. And when they start to do that, start build up the connection, then was the opening up of their heart, emotions, stories, etc. So for me, it was creating my signature name based on the experience, on the exploration, based on the feedback. Yeah.
It's so interesting, like the nuances within words and how it really, really shapes our relationship and our connection to nature. And, even just the whole kind of being and doing, like, how can you be in nature? And then what do you do in nature? Oh, I'm active. Maybe I'm more actually in my mind. I'm moving through it. I'm walking, I'm hiking. And it's that kind of physicality. And yeah, listener, what do you think? How would you describe your relationship within nature, and what does that bring up? And I don't know, for me, I'm kind of thinking it's a heart, head, soul connection. And ultimately we are infused and we are nature. And that point about how nature, when we don't have to be like outside and still be with nature, is so potent, because our lifestyles, we do spend so much time in little boxes that we've created into a screen, and actually how can we bring nature into that? So thank you for, and it sounds that for you to get to your point and carve out your niche, and I'm going to use that word, you've put a lot of deep reflection into it, and really noticed and paid attention and learnt. So your clients have been your teachers as well, and it just really comes across so clearly. So you're an Italian living in China. You've been in China for 20 years. And I know that you're an explorer. So just a little bit more detail about what took you to the other side of the world. Because, I mean, you could have gone to the other side of the world and gone to South America. So what was it about China that drew you?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Um, I connected with what you just said. You said something very beautiful, that is be instead of doing, right? This is my mantra, I would say. Everything I've been doing from my spiritual personal growth is because I want to be there, not just doing mindfulness, not just doing yoga, but just be. So for me, it's the same relation with the nature. Be in nature, not just doing nature. So when I chose to decide to come to China was because I was studying Chinese in Italy. There is a University for Oriental Studies in Venice, nearby where I'm living. And actually my intention was to study another language, Russian, no at all Chinese, no idea what was China, no idea, right? But when I was in the department for Russian, I saw so many people that the teacher was quite invisible. I said, no ways to compress. I'm a little agophobia, a phobia, and somehow I don't like too many people around myself. So I went out from the department of Russian and I walked into, in Venice, the university are separate in different blocks, beautiful, old, antique buildings. So I was just walking one of the campus square in Venice and I found this door quite attractive. I like art. And somehow, so very attracted by the door. I opened the door, very old door. I went up on the stair and no one was there, but the sign was say Oriental Study Department. I said, well, something might happen here. And I remember that I just jumped into some students, I guess, there, and I was asking, can I have some information materials? I go to the reception desk, should have something there. So nothing to do what you should guess is a university department, not very cozy. This is this cool. This is my place. So I collect a lot of papers. I went back home. I shared this with my parents and my dad. And my dad's comments was, you always do what the other people are not doing and you like explore, just go. China is quite unknown so far. And I said, oh, Dad, it could be good. So I took this a kind of boost to start my adventure, and I gave myself 1 year time to see if there was any connection there. So I started the class, attending the class, and I was coming from a linguistic college, and I found out there was not any relationship between Chinese language with all other language I was studying. So I decided to become a kid. So my mind get completely blank and just to listen, absorbed, not asking questions. So my curiosity was quite challenged at the time, but I said, I can't ask questions because I don't get clue about that. So after 1 year, with some mates, we decided to come to Beijing, where I am now, for a 2 months of summer course. And I said to my mate, see you in the end. I don't want to get together. I just want to be fully immersed in this culture, in this field, in this language, and see what's happened, if there is any connection there. So I did. I found some Chinese friend. I was going through with my bicycle around the city, in the markets, and the local places. And one day I was able to go to the market and buy some fruit by myself. And the lady was really giving me the fruits without looking at me, without doing, just giving, say, yeah, that for me was their shift point. I said, I can get the language. So very motivated. I went back to Italy. I carried on my studies, and then with a scholarship, 1 year scholarship, I came back to China for 1 year. The moment I was traveling more than studying, I would say. So I went around all China, and that got me a kind of decision, say, I want to come back to this country and live in here for a while. And then everything came, and somehow the job also came. Yeah.
Laura, that's so lovely. And anybody listening, as to that, this word explorer just keeps, I mean, if we go back to the door, that it's coming through so clear to me that your intuition, your exploration, you open the door, you've gone up, and then I just get this sense exploration around language and linguistics, and then immersion, going over to China, your bravery, courage, there's a lot of those great things that require us to be in coaching, and I can see so much of that coming through your curiosity, your emerging, your emergent stuff and immersion, and you obviously like to feel and sense all of that and be, as you say, within that culture, and it's coming through really loud and clear, and it's just fantastic. And again, lots for our listeners to sort of I guess think about in their coaching practice around, immersing yourself in the environment or the world that you're around, and feeling and sensing and really understanding it, and sort of being present in that place, wherever that place may be to any of us. But that really get a clear sense of that in you and what's coming through, which is really, really lovely. So you have this rather unique perspective, which I think we're very curious about, and leads me to our question. We have the Chinese and the European cultures, which you're in this unique position of being able to sort of observe and be part of, and we've heard how well you've immersed yourself. So what are those differences or similarities? I mean, there are both really. And the key elements do you notice, both overtly and potentially more hidden? Perhaps you could just unpack that a little bit for us.
Yeah, we take a life to tell that, but let's see if in a short, it's a lot of to say. Let's say two sides. One is when I came here and I met the Chinese culture and people, how was and how it is now. I guess they want to know also when I'm coaching Chinese people, something like that. So I would say the first thing you notice when you come to China, as if you guys come to China as a tourist, just tourists, let's say, you say the people are very welcoming, very brightly, very open up to help. Actually, in reality, they have to do that. When they really go back to their self, they're very hiding what they protect themselves, because they've been taught you don't have to expose your sensation, you don't have to expose your feeling. So when you talk with the Chinese people, sometimes they're smiling, actually it's not a smile. It's a kind of shame, it's embarrassment. When you have to greet in Chinese people, you shake the hands, it's not their way of greetings. Huh? So I've been learning also through Chinese friend that was telling me, don't do that. Don't do that, right? So I was learning how to behave in order to be respect, first of all, also in my job, because I'm working with Chinese people, to be respected. So by showing respect, even if let's say my boss was telling me do this and that, I would say, I can't, it will be a disaster. And luckily, my boss was able also to integrate this, and vice versa. So the first thing for me coming here, I remind myself every time I'm a guest. Doesn't matter how long I've been living here, I'm a guest. I need to respect the rules in order to be respected. So through this experience, of course, then the language, also the language is very important, because knowing the language, you can get a little more deeper in the knowledge and in relationship with French and his friends. Then so everyone's they come into China say, I can't have a real Chinese friend. And my question was to them, what do you mean with a real friend? Because there is a different kind of relationship with friends. So I said, I have good real Chinese friends. So I don't know what you mean, but if you keep your European perspective in build up a relationship, of course, you could never get a relationship with a Chinese. So this enabled me also to get people around me know that I'm a person exactly that's I'm in the middle. Also my, let's say, co-worker, they know, they come to me say, what did the Italian colleague want to say, Laura? We didn't get, not in terms of language, but in terms of culture, right? And sometimes I go back to my Chinese colleagues, say, what the Chinese guys want to tell me. There is a lot of expression also different. So all this baggage, of course, cultural baggage, linguistic baggage was very helpful for me when I started to coach Chinese people. So Here there is a lot to say, but I was sharing also earlier, and that's let's say when I bring Chinese people in nature, the first time I brought Chinese people in nature for me was wow, there is a lot of job to do here. So the only fact of, for me, when I'm in nature, I get my shoes off. No way to get the shoes on, right? Very natural for you, maybe, or guys as well. It's not for Chinese people. It's very taboo. I'm asking people to also to touch the bark of the tree, let's say, or to watch the water, and they say, what about, right? So for me, I was becoming somehow a kind of an educator, but being a coach, you can't lead the people, you can't guide the people. So I was myself also stay backward and say, let's see how much they can open up to what I'm inviting them to do. And I would say that there is an evolution. There is an evolution, what is happening. And I mean, this evolution is that the currently Chinese people are, let's say, in 3 years' time, they look for be with nature, in connection with nature. So how they connect with nature now compared before, if you're interested, I can share, but maybe you can have another question they can jump into. Yeah, we can go on. Yes, so I would say that when at the beginning, let's say 3 years ago, there was this kind of very great, you say, embarrassment and a limitation in connecting with nature, in being in the park, in work in the park. Now Chinese people are really into nature in terms of hiking, running, walking, doing picnic, whatever. They really go there, right? Looking for fresh air. And that's very great. I was happy when they started to do that. But when I ask them to get the shoes off again, they go back, I can't. When I ask them, last Sunday I got a session, for me it was so powerful because I was able to get Chinese people lay down the grass. And for me it was, wow. And then after that I was asking, and there was also foreigner people together, also foreigner people was asking them, how did you feel, how it was for you be there? I said, oh, was scary in the beginning, was nausea, but then I see every one of you so calm, so refreshed. So I said, why not? And I said, great point. So there is an evolution term there, maybe because they trust me, they know me a little more than before, they trust the environment, they feel safe. So coaching is also based on safety, right? They know they bring them into environment in the park, and I'm scouting the place before going there. So they know that I'm doing a very safe way. So I think all these components brought those people last Sunday to really embrace the grass, embrace the soul, embrace the nature, and so it's a kind of an evolution in this sense. So has, I would say, an evolution in terms of there is a lot of traumas happening in Chinese society. I think in all society there is a lot of trauma. Yeah, but here the trauma is the gap, big gap between the previous generation and the current generation in terms of values, quality of life, meaning of life, what I want to be, what I want to do. So the current 45 years old Chinese people, let's say 40, 45 years people, they've been educated of I have to do what my elder said me to do, my parents said me to do. I have to do this, I have to do that. But in reality, they said, it's not what I want. And now they want to say that. They want to try to do differently. So in my session, when I go session with Chinese people, doesn't matter which is the topic they're coming, the agenda they're coming with. Could be professional performance, could be relationship, could be what I do next. Whatever is the topic, after 3 sessions, the bottom is the relation with their parents, the relation with their parents. So when I brought them in nature and I said to them, here, there is no judgment. I'm coming from mindfulness, right? There is only compassion. There is only self-love to yourself. There is a space for yourself. There is a nature that can contribute to that. There is support. There is silence. You don't have to talk. You don't have to reply. Chinese people are taught to reply every time. They need to say something. No way here. So when I provide them this kind of container, that's the moment when they, they grounding down and they open up. So that's what mindfulness also taught us, right? You need first to be present, grounding down in order to open up, the kind of trees again, right? And I had amazing feedback of Chinese people say, I found my authenticity. This word is so potent, said by Chinese people. I found my freedom, even more potent word, right? And people also said to me, I learned how to walk. After life, I learned how to walk. That was so amazing for me because I was getting them having my sensorial walk, mindful sensorial walk. And this lady said, I never walked like that before. Yeah. So there is really a revolution in this direction. Yeah.
I learn how to walk.
Yeah.
And for me, just that metaphor as a coach and what you're doing, it's really, really profound. Physically, they're walking and you're walking them through life in a different way. And the fact that you're in such a unique position, which is why I've been so looking forward to this conversation. And for you as an Italian coming with a fresh pair of eyes and seeing the culture and really seeing it and really listening to it is absolutely exquisite. And anyone who is listening in, what is coming up for you, please do share. And yeah, Laura, you are definitely in, the right place at the right time, doing your work. And it takes time. It's building, and I am fascinated to see where you are headed moving forwards. So just taking a little bit of a step wider to the coaching within the Chinese market, and what have you observed about the Chinese coaching market, maybe just in the last few years and then at this moment in time?
Yeah, well, I jumped into the coaching field in 2020, so it's a really short time for me to be an observer, right? But I would say was a booming of coaching during COVID. Everyone everyone want to be a coach. Everyone was saying, I'm a coach. I said, okay, that's great, by doing nothing. So when I was studying them what it was for me to become a coach, they said, oh, all right. So it was really a kind of a psychologist, coaching, trainer, was really, really quite a booming. Because of course the society was asking that. The people was really living a trauma. They was really finding this kind of unlocked kind of feeling sensations coming out. They needed support. That was the point. So now I would say now in the last year, still a lot of people, and I would say Chinese and no Chinese living in China, right, want to become a coach, but luckily they realize they need to go through a training organization to have some certification. So it's a trend, a great trend. I would say, and maybe someone can also say, no, you're not right, but so far I know there is no nature-based coaching in China. I think I'm quite unique in this niche, at least in Beijing. There are people doing outdoor activity. Yes, a lot. But as coach with an in nature or in nature, I don't think there are other people doing that so far. So that's why people now are approaching me and say, can I be a trainer? Can you train me in doing that? And I said, maybe one day. Maybe one day, yeah.
And Laura, that's very insightful. And I guess it's that almost professionalization that you talk about from COVID years, 2020, and then people beginning to realize that there is a lot more, into the training and the professionalization. People are now entering into that, and that process, as you say, has begun. And nature-based coaching, as you say, is even more niche. And I'm sure you're right. There may be people who maybe, as you say, working on the fringes around outdoor work or so on, thinking that they're doing that. But I'm sure you're right, it will come. And nature-based coaching, there's a challenge there, an offer thrown down by Laura that nature-based training in China, it's fascinating. And I was struck by what you said earlier. This is a strong culture, a very, gosh, one of the most ancient cultures known on the planet, and so it's an extremely strong culture. And I love the fact that this evolution is beginning. The taboos and the next generation. So it's fascinating to see that even the business world, the corporate world, is beginning to encourage you and the work you're doing to sort of enter into this space. And so that's fantastic. And in terms of nature-based coaching, there is no one else you're aware of? Have you ever come across anyone, China or anything like that?
No, so far I say no. In Beijing, absolutely not. And Beijing is big, there's a lot of people there. Yeah. As I said, there is a lot of, that's why nature is, let's say, nature is becoming more and more integrate in Chinese people life. That's definitely. People now, so my 20s, 21, 22 was a kind of, have a training, preparation, exploration, getting confident in be a coach in nature, studying through the expert, how to also integrate mindfulness with nature. So I use it, and I also Qigong practice, philosophy, etc. So everything's there. So this year, surprisingly, since the beginning, people are coming and looking for that. When before I was looking for people somehow, I never look for people actually, I'm not that, but I would say, okay, 1, 2 people. Now people are coming, and most of them are Chinese,
Right.
also foreigner, but so they are coming and they are asking for be healed. So they're looking for nature healing. At the beginning, I would say, no, I'm not a healer, but then going back to the Chinese philosophy, what is healing means for them is a kind of really holistic, I say, immersion in nature. Doesn't need that there is a healing of special power, let's say, but it's actually what nature provided, and that was mentioned before, this kind of container where there is no judgment, where there is safety, where there is space for staying silent. That's what healed them. So now I'm very happy when people say, oh, I got healed by your session. Yes, yeah. I don't want to be mistaken with a healer. I'm not that part, but that's what's happening. And even people say I'm a healer, but everyone has different approach of that. But anyhow, also the energy may be coming from martial art, and for the fact this country is when you talk about qi. Here I can talk about qi, right? When I'm out China and talking about qi, I need to use 20 more words to explain what is qi. But here, when I do my session, I can really easily use the qi flowing, the energy flowing, and they understand what I mean. And that's what I think what provide them the healing they need. So it's quite unique what I'm doing, but not because I'm a superwoman, whatever. It's because I'm using who I am. I use my authenticity. I use what I learn. I use what I love to do. And based on of course, as a coaching teach us, based on the energy of the group, based on the response of the people, I can decide to switch from the mindfulness to self-compassion, to the energy field, and so to nature, right? So, yeah.
And that is bringing your true, full, authentic self into coaching and your practice and relationship. And every guest we've had and everyone who's listening in, we all have these different parts of us and how we choose to show up. And hearing your journey over the 2-3 years of learning and consolidation and awareness and reflection, and this, then people are now coming to you, and it takes time. It takes time to build. And having watched you from afar over the last couple of years, it is really exciting to see where you are going and where one person can go and how one person can actually make such a huge difference. And I love the fact now that you're doing some talks for the Association for Coaching in English and in Chinese, and just circling back to that piece around training in China. You're positioned. I'm sure Diana from the Nature Coaching Academy would be more than happy to have a branch out there. So just planting that seed here. You heard it first. So practicalities, and you've touched a little bit on the weather, and we've talked a lot about the cultural piece. So maybe just more the practicalities, kind of working outdoors, the natural environment. What have you had to consider?
Yeah, nothing. I would say when I feel like, when I know this, I need to know the space. Okay, I need to know the space where I bring my clients or my group, that's for sure. So safety for me is the first priority. Also, when I go hiking with other group, I require to get safe, first of all. So safety, first of all, and my connection with if it's a group session, so I decide the spot, my connection with the spot, right? If it's with a client, I might suggest the spot, and then I leave the client to decide where to go in the park. Might take also 10 minutes, 20 minutes. I need to be sure that the client feel that is her or his spot. So that's for me is a real fundamental practicalities. But in terms of other, I would say there is not. I think that because too much practicalities, so people are disconnected from nature, if I can say like that, sometimes. So maybe because I was in my childhood really used to just go, and sometimes losing the way in the woods, and at the time there was not the phone or the GPS, so just go there. But I feel like the more we are getting to some limitation, constriction of worries about what is happening next, maybe it's a kind of prevention. Too much, it's too much. So yeah, so I would say there is not too much concern besides safety for me. I've been also coaching under the rain. That's happened because the rain was coming summertime. So we asked, can you stay or leave? I said, no, let's leave, stay. So we stay in the rain. Yeah, I don't know if I replied to your question, but that's the point. Yeah.
Well, thank you. I mean, safety, and connection is so important. And we love the idea you were saying earlier. You scout the area, you connect to that area, and these things are so important. And yeah, it's those sort of things. And you're working in groups and do you do one-to-one, or is it groups as well? Both, yeah. So
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah. And again, and I'm fascinated with again mixed gender groups within Chinese, male, female, one-to-one, outdoors.
Yeah, everyone.
Yeah.
I have female, I have male. I would say so far more female.
Hmm.
Yeah, I have a Chinese, I have foreigner. And when I'm this foreigner is coming from, also there is other culture, right? So
Yeah.
foreigner with their culture as well. So I need also to pay attention to their point. This is when I'm here in China. I've been also coaching online. I'm coaching also online, of course, with people in Europe and around the world.
Sure.
Yes, so yeah, definitely.
So, I mean, we've discussed so many, which I have to say, you have admirably dealt with those challenges. I think, you've met so many challenges, and I guess as almost a path leader, you've sort of led this path and the cultures. What challenges ahead do you have? I mean, do you see ahead for this meeting Chinese culture and stuff? I'm fascinated what challenges you see ahead.
Well, I think I think I like challenges. So I would say if there is a challenge is coming, means that there is a growth for me. There is something I need to learn new. I really getting bored quite easily if there is the same things, right? Of course, I won't say that I love challenges, so I need to have challenges every day. That's not the case. But I also love to have my comfort zone. So coming to this point in 2024, yes, for me was really a big step in getting out of my comfort zone for the first time in my coaching development when I somehow decided to do my website, right? So challenges because I said, how can I do a website? Means I felt it was not ready for that. But then again, I went back to my people and I wanted to listen from them. And they said, you have even much more than you thought and you think about to make a website. So, I decided to do a website in my way. So I decided design is a mindfulness-based design as well. So we have been talking the same language also in the process in creating my websites. And that's for me was really a stretching out. I'm not so much good in showing myself. I prefer the other people are telling what they think about that. But in the moment I needed to tell the web designer, I'm doing this, I can do this, I can do that. So I realized that I really do a lot of things. And the challenge was here in China, for instance, what I found out differently than in Europe at least, is the kind of promotion, the kind of be on the so-called social media or whatever platform, right, is quite different. Here, you need to be fast, you need to be short, you need to be fully image, you need to be full of video. Written content, long speeches is not working. You need to be there every day. You need to provide everything. This is not my rhythm. This is still up so far a big challenge for me. I learn how to get out of my comfort zone again in promoting myself. But so far, I can't be as other Chinese people are doing, or other coaches, foreign coaches, maybe more willing to get the market are doing. So, and then in the end, I decide I want to be also myself in doing this marketing, let's say. So I'm in the middle between as I was before and as Chinese people would like me to be. I want to keep my values. I want to keep my time. I want to provide the contents. But I realized that when I was back to Italy and I was doing some group session for Italian people, I need to go back the old way, writing, explaining, doing. It's really, really different here. So this for me it was a challenge and will be still a challenge in terms of marketing. What you're doing is quite different, very fast here. Yes. And other challenges, I don't see. Well, it's not challenge, but I would say I'm not afraid of competition. This society is based on competition here. You need to be over the other. You need to be first. You need to be doing better, etc. I'm not afraid of competition because I believe, maybe I'm wrong, I believe that if I'm doing the things that I feel like doing and I feel like I have to do with my passion and with my authenticity, there will always be something different than the other. So to be unique. People are copying what I'm doing. Yes. People I keeping what I'm doing. The people come into my session and say, I came here because I wanted to see what we are doing. I said, well, okay, that's point. My mentor said to me, you should be happy for that. I said, I'm not happy, means I'm not something that I'm looking for, but I don't understand why they want to do something that I'm doing. I'm different than they are, as they are, and so on. So in somehow I'm not afraid of competition. And the challenges for me would be if happened that really I have to get into a big community, to create a big community, to becoming a trainer. That's also could be one of my. I'm sure there is a lot of challenges I have to face in that case. But I'm ready to that. I think the things will come when I'm ready for that. So.
And we are all on our own journey, and we all evolve. And what we maybe perceive as a challenge one day, the next day or the next year or 5 years time might be something completely different. And interesting hearing you talk about competition as well. And, you know, for those of you listening in, what are your beliefs around competition, collaboration? How do the two align? And I mean, let's be honest, Beijing is a huge market. So actually, there's definitely space for, I don't know, I believe for all of us. We all have our own unique skills, knowledge, and experience. And, you know, I'm not the coach for everybody. I don't want to be an vanilla coach. Here, Paul's not the coach for everyone. Larry, you're not the coach for everyone. We all occupy our own niche within our ecosystem, and we all have something special to offer. So please tell us a story. You know, you're in a very, very unusual situation. Give us a little insight into one of your coaching sessions. Confidentiality completely respected. But yeah, please take us there.
Mm-hmm. One of the many. One of the many, because it was exploration. As I said again, in these 2 years for me was really discovering my niche, right? So I was really exploring a lot. Something very, still so far I remember quite very nicely, and so with pleasure in the same time, when I was coaching this lady on a rock and with the rock. She was so connected with the rock that we did a coaching with the rock. And so she wanted to be playful. I said, let's play. What do you need for play? She said, you know, my childhood was based in the mountains with the rocks. So it's actually in the park, there was the rock. And I said, go and find your rock. And all the coaching was based on the rocks. So we explored the quality of the rocks. Of course, as I said, in the end, there was a trauma, family trauma. So the rock became a kind of symbol, how to protect herself and defend herself, right? The people, as I said last Sunday, the people that are going down on the grass. This is something that is very also unique in this moment. I would say stories about also I would say let's say foreigner and Chinese. Here there is some difference. Yes, means if I bring the foreigner into my coaching, and let's say it's a coaching with some nature and mindfulness elements inside, I might be feeling more, say, in connection with the foreigner people, because in somehow European people, let's say European people, your people, because a kind of common language to say. If I go to Chinese people, I'm using mindfulness also. Mindfulness also is quite something new, was something new in 2020 here in China. In the last few years, developed quite a lot. So when I was talking at the beginning about mindfulness, of course, in Chinese, the people will say to me, what is about? Now everyone is talking about that. So when I'm using this in my session, now people are accepting the practicing, etc. When the beginning, there was feeling a little awkward for them to place their hands over the body. for instance, and to provide some loving kindness, some compassion. I also been doing coaching on the way, I can say. So means walking. The clients want to walk. So I was doing coaching while walking. And in that moment I stand on the back of the clients. And I said, don't worry, I'm here, but go your way. So for me, it was kind of exploration also to see when the coach is not there, how it's for the clients in somehow. Yeah. There is any specific you want to know about other stories? Because otherwise you go into details, maybe the privacies will be broken.
No, that's Laura, that's so fantastic. You know, symbolism, metaphor, you know, connection. You know, these are super words that come out of your stories. I mean, the lady on the rock and that playfulness that you invited her into that space to, you know, connect and play, and that rock then became her sort of defense around that trauma and so on. It's fantastic. And just the grass and people connecting, nature is in them, they're connecting with that. I think many of our listeners it's fascinating to hear you say in 2020 mindfulness is something new to the Chinese culture. I think many listeners may say that may be quite almost, really? Wow. I mean, and then to hear that's, and I know we associate that more with Buddhism and stuff, and it's come from that culture. But I think many of us may find that's incredible and great to hear that it is now becoming a big thing. And within those you know, stories and practicalities, and just, you know, walking and you know, that experiential, trying that and walking with them and stepping behind. It's fantastic to hear. So we're just coming now towards that end, and you know, we're running a retreat. I think you're running a retreat-based events now in the future, and just tell us a little bit about that opportunity and what you're doing with that.
Yeah. Just a little going back to what you said about mindfulness. This is very important, right?
Yeah.
When I'm talking about the people was not so aware of what is mindfulness, I meant mindfulness in the daily life, the so-called informal mindfulness. Of course, mindfulness coming from Buddhism. Buddhism is rooted here. So
Yeah.
people was associating mindfulness with something too much big. So when I was talking to them, you know, you can be mindful when you walk. They said, what are you talking about, right? It's something different. So that's the difference. And now people are coming to say there is the mindfulness of so-called philosophical, religious, whatever you want to call mindfulness, but there is also the being mindful in your daily life. That's becoming more clear for Chinese people as well. Yeah, thanks for mentioning that. It was very, very important. Yes.
Very good.
Yeah.
And your retreats, yeah.
Yeah, the retreat. Yeah, great. This is another exploration of my development, of course. It will happen is actually in the end of the year in Thailand, North Thailand, a part of Thailand that I love. And it's happening because last year I was joined this organization doing hiking in the forest, in the jungle. I'm like that somehow. And when I was subscribed to the hike, I just thought, just put my website. It would just finish my website. I just put the website in my signature, just try. And the lady actually pay attention to that. Oh my gosh. I said, well, someone is pay attention to that. And she was open the website and saw what I'm doing. And she replied back to me, say that she wants to go in that direction, to combining nature with the mindfulness and coaching, etc. And I said, why not? I'm very happy to offer my service last year, just in case for free, for people accept, etc. So luckily, the 5 people on the group was agreeing. I was for United States, yes. And I was accompanying them during the hiking by doing my awareness circle in the morning, in the evening, my practice during the day. And literally that time I was coaching on the way. So I was providing them some inputs, going back to them where they were walking. When we had our lunch break, I was gathering together and asking how it's going on. There is any takeaways on the way? What did you explore? So I was also experimenting on myself how it is to be on the way, really walking up in the coaching. So after that, the organizer said, should we do something in a proper way? I said, definitely yes. And that's why came out the idea of retreat, and hopefully we can make exactly this year. I'm so excited about that.
We hope so too. And it just goes to show what can emerge from just, inverted commas, putting your signature block on the bottom of an email. Yeah, and that in itself can be like a little bit of like, oh, confidence, imposter syndrome. Am I going to do this? Am I not? Decision. It's like, for anyone who's listening in, like, have a go. Like, what's the worst that could happen? And you sparked interest, and look where it is taking you. And what else? What is your future vision for your business?
Yeah, I opened also my company recently. So I have my coaching company, or let's say tools company, that came again. It came because situation asked me to do that. It was not my plan, right? But situation evolved in the direction, and I said, ask myself why I'm doing that. And I said, yes, I'm ready to do that. So this is a new door. So based on that, I would say that my real wish in my heart is really to work with the youth, with the teens, with the kids in nature, really bringing those kind of people to reconnect with nature. And I say that based on what is happening here in China, where really the disconnection is happening a lot from the childhood, for the kids, for the teens, I would say, where I've been said and told that parents are getting mad because they cannot really handle anyhow their kids. There's so much, as I said before, so much different now than their parents, and the parents are not ready. So there is a trauma on the parents, a trauma on the child, I would say. And I've been contacted by they call holistic center in Beijing, asking if I was willing to work with kids in nature. I said, of course. Nothing happened so far. But this is one of my direction, something that sooner or later I would like to realize. Yes. Yeah. For the rest, I would do what I love to do. So I cannot forecast now what would be my next developments, but definitely now that I feel more confident in cooperating with nature, and nature now is helping me a lot, I would say, definitely will be more and more in that direction. Yeah.
Laura, and I have no doubt, Laura, that the world will find you in your next part of your journey. And look, what you're putting out in the world, in your care and your compassion, your exploration, there strikes me that you will definitely find. I'm so excited for you that they've reached out, and I'm sure in time that will come to something. And working with the next generation will be wonderful. And as you say, that generation seems very more open to try things and do that. So good, best of luck with that venture. And so we're coming right to the end really now, and we always ask all of our guests, what resources would you recommend to our community? And that may be books or podcasts or signposting to practices or whatever you may feel. But do you have some one or two items that you would recommend?
Yeah. There is, as I said, if it's on the mindfulness part of myself, nowadays there is a lot that's why I also open a bracket. I don't really like to call myself mindfulness coach anymore. I think I will change that. But anyhow, this is another adventure. But I would say my teacher, my mentors have been from Tara Brach to Thich Nhat Hanh to also David Trevelyan is a Canadian expert working with trauma-sensitive mindfulness. Great podcast offered by him also for free. There is a tricycle community that is more based on mindfulness linked to Buddhism, but you can also get what is in the daily life. I've been also very following quite a lot the somatic school of Trotsky Institute. Great teacher, founder. Amanda Blake, also great teacher. When in the book, your body is your brain, and that's for me was quite a shift. Amanda Blake, she's really able to combine the practical side of the practice with the neuroscience, with the science behind that. And then, of course, coming to the nature, I'm quite new to the nature field, but of course, the Nature Coaching Academy, I've been followed training in Ecosomatic Foundation, and hopefully next year, the Nature Coaching training, provide a lot of resources. I've been falling in love with the biomimicry, yes, love that. So I think you can find a lot of resources on that. So that's it. I think is a quite wide the kind of resources, but also radical acceptance, radical compassion for me was very important from Tara Brach in order to not only for client, for myself. People coming to me brought trauma. I need to heal myself first in order to be able to heal them. So having the self-compassion as my resources, that was important. Rick Hanson also with the book Resilience was a great book for me during COVID time. I decided to stay in China at the time because I was asking myself, what do I need in this moment? I need resilience. And where I can find resilience, of course, through teacher, but through nature. Nature for me was really my companion. And Rick Hanson in his book also is talking a lot about that. So, yeah.
Great resources, and we will definitely get them signpost. And I just really want to call out that piece around compassion for self and resourcing yourself when you are coaching others and shaping this container. Just make sure that you're looking after yourself, because so much can come up, and at what point is it too much? And being really, really honest with yourself, and whether you need extra support or whether you need to refer clients on is a decision that we all need to just be really conscious about, so that we're supporting our clients and supporting ourselves. So Laura, where can people find out more about your work and get in touch?
Thanks for asking. Well, my website is full of beautiful picture articles, and then there is my LinkedIn page also. And I think we can write down, I don't remember the LinkedIn page, of course, the details, but the website is www.laurafesta.com. And then there is for foreigner people, of course, there is also Instagram. And then I have the social media for Chinese people that I don't think it need to be mentioned, because anyhow, there is kind of platform only visible in China. So, but just put Laura Festa, I think something will come out, and and you can reach me out anytime, anyhow. I'm very curious to have also feedbacks, comments, and through that I've learned quite a lot. I learn also to receive the feedbacks. That's another exploration from my side.
Very good, Laura. It's a pleasure to have you on as we come to the end, and I know our listeners are going to be. That was absolutely fascinating, and a really lovely insight into coaching outdoors in a very different culture, and you've given us a fantastic insight into all of that with the stories and the practice that you have so bravely, and lots of exploration and following intuition, and I really sense with you, you're just, a very respectful, working with the people, being very mindful of the people you're with, and building into it gradually, slowly, and I think it's really working for you. And it's I've taken so much notes away from all of that. It's amazing. And it's a culture I'm aware of. I haven't. My eldest son is in Shenzhen, in China, and so it's amazing for me to hear some of these insights that you've given us. So thank you so much for your time today, and it's a real pleasure. So, listeners out there, I think myself and Anna Marie will wind up another episode. It's Thank you so much for joining us, listeners, and we hope you've enjoyed that. We are 1 week away. I think it's virtually just under 1 week away to Coaching Outdoor Live, our in-person event at Henley Business School. Anna Marie and I are super excited, and we are I think it's fair to say we're in some control. We have some small detail to and logistics and things to finish off, as you would expect, but we are so excited to welcome so many friends and new friends as yet to meet next week, traveling from all over the world to come to Henley Business School, where we're going to have 2 days of experiential workshops, expert speaker talks, yoga, mindful walking, fire pits, and time spent with each other in the evening around the fire. So who could want more? If you haven't got a ticket, you can still grab one very quickly. And we look forward to seeing everybody there. Equally, we have a huge back catalogue. If you've enjoyed this episode and you're new to Coaching Outdoor podcast, please go to our website. There is a wealth of episodes, back catalogues, and resources that you can dip into and find stuff that is your thing, your niche, whatever that may be. And please, we would encourage and welcome you to do that. Other than that, we are coming with a few more to go for series 9, and we will be continuing our series. And I will hand over to Anna Marie just to add any other last bits, really, that she wants to. But thank you very much from me. Thank you, Laura.
And thanks, as ever, Paul, for being my co-host, my wingman. It is always a pleasure. And yeah, if you're listening, Henley will be a distant memory, sadly. Though 2026, time flies. And undoubtedly, we will be plotting and planning for our next extravaganza, our flagship event in person. So hope to see you there. Please do leave a comment. Please do share. If you have enjoyed this, please do tell a friend, someone else. We are so keen to spread the word about coaching outdoors and partnering with nature around the world. And clearly our footprint now in China has been a real milestone. So really grateful for Laura coming on and sharing her story. And other than that, thank you for taking the time to listen into our conversation today. If you've got this far, have an amazing day and catch you on another episode soon. So if you enjoyed what you've heard, like it, share across your network,
and subscribe to our YouTube channel and LinkedIn community page, the Coaching Outdoor Podcast.
Thanks so much in advance for your support.